Imagine a philosophy where everything you know, every change, every experience, even your own consciousness, is the result of the interplay of nothingness and infinite possibility. In this video, we're diving deep into Aleister Crowley's magical theory of the universe, where magic, mysticism, and nihilism collide. By the end of this video, you'll see how this wisdom for a modern age will not only change how you think, but also how you live. If you like this video, please like it and subscribe to the channel. Also, please consider supporting me on Patreon. I will leave a link to my Patreon in the description for this video. Now, let's dive into the deep end of the pool with Aleister Crowley. In Chapter 0 of Magic in Theory and Practice, titled The Magical Theory of the Universe, Aleister Crowley describes his philosophy in the following way. There are three main theories of the universe: dualism, monism, and nihilism. All are reconciled and unified in the theory which we shall now set forth. The basis of this harmony is given in Bereshith, to which reference should be made. Bereshith is an essay that Crowley published in 1902. It details his understanding of fundamental reality. It's not necessary to have a deep understanding of the arguments in Bereshith in order to practice Thelema. But it is helpful to understand the core aspects of Crowley's philosophy because it forms the structure of what he calls the magical theory of the universe. Magic is defined as the science and art of causing change to occur in conformity with will. Discovering your true will is one of the main purposes of Thelema. An adequate understanding of the magical theory of the universe is necessary in order to understand what it means to find your will, what the will is, and how to execute on it. Here's a broad overview of what that theory says. The basic elements of the universe are Nuit and Hadit. They are the deities represented in the first and second chapters of the Book of the Law, respectively. Nuit represents possibility or being. Anything that can be experienced, imagined, or even thought of is Nuit or is caused by Nuit. This does not mean that Nuit herself can be experienced, imagined, or thought. Quite the contrary. She is beyond anything we could possibly conceive because she is the cause of anything that we can possibly conceive. Hadit represents two interrelated ideas: unique individuality and change. The power of an individual not only to survive change, but to express itself in and through change is caused by Hadit. Nuit expresses herself as the unity, the wholeness, the togetherness of being. Hadit expresses himself as an infinite plurality of individual perspectives on being. Nuit and Hadit, in turn, can be thought of as modes of nothingness. This nothingness is what Crowley refers to as the Kabbalistic zero in his essay Bereshith. The Kabbalistic zero, or nothingness, expresses itself through the pair Nuit and Hadit. So we can look at the universe from one of two perspectives. We can look at the universe from the side of manifestation, in which case it is the constant dynamic interplay of the pair Nuit and Hadit, or we could look at the universe from the perspective of its ultimate unity, in which case it is the Kabbalistic zero or nothingness. These two perspectives are united in the theory that Crowley calls 0 equals 2. By the way, if you're finding this explanation of Thelema helpful, you might enjoy my free PDF, Unlock the Mysteries of Thelema. In this free guide, I answer the 10 most frequently asked questions about Thelema. I also introduce it with a short essay explaining my perspective on Thelema and how I arrived at it. This guide is really useful if you are new to Thelema, and it could also be helpful to fill in some gaps if you've been practicing Thelema for a little while now. Best of all, it's free. There's a link to download it in the description for this video. Now let's dive back into Crowley's theory of reality. Crowley says that the central truth of Thelema is that Nuit and Hadit always necessarily belong together. They're never found apart. Furthermore, he goes on to say that every conjunction of a particular Hadit with Nuit is a star or a god. He calls this a star after the third verse of the first chapter of the Book of the Law, which says, "Every man and every woman is a star." Each one of these stars is a universe unto itself. It contains all within itself, including all other stars. But each star contains the entirety of existence within itself in a manner that is unique to it. My consciousness represents a unique center. It is different from your consciousness. And yet in both cases, each of us has the entire universe reflected within ourselves. We are now in a position to understand more precisely what Crowley meant when he said that his theory unites dualism, monism, and nihilism. It's dualistic because the universe that we occupy is driven by the dynamic exchange of energy between Nuit and Hadit. The universe is not simply in a state of change. The universe is constant change. Living well means learning how to interact with change, how to undergo change, so that it leads to one's personal development and growth rather than their decay. This is one meaning of what it means to do your will. It's monistic because each star or god is a complete totality in itself. Obviously, we don't experience life this way. We don't experience ourselves as a whole universe that needs nothing beside itself. Instead, we experience ourselves as finite individuals who are attempting to cope with a universe of constant change. But spiritual attainment in Thelema means overcoming this sense of finitude or separateness. When we do this, we realize that we are not mere mortals, but rather incarnations of gods or stars. And it's nihilistic because everything that we experience, from the most mundane all the way up to the most spiritually exalted, is an expression ultimately of nothingness. Every change from one moment to the next is an example of productive annihilation. The universe is constantly being destroyed and recreated in each and every moment. In mystical experience, we annihilate our sense of separateness to realize ourselves as infinite gods. Even death is a kind of productive annihilation from a Thelemic point of view. The magical side of Thelema is its dualistic dimension. The mystical side of Thelema is its monistic dimension, and the nihilistic dimension encompasses both. It's common for people to emphasize one aspect of Thelema against the other. For example, they'll say that Thelema is all about doing magic. You can easily ignore the philosophical or rationalist side or the mystical side. Other people will tend to emphasize the mystical side and say that the magical side is just superstitious bunk that can be discarded. But the correct perspective is the one that unites dualism, monism, and nihilism in the 0=2 theory, and which therefore includes both mysticism and magic as spiritual practices. What do you think? Did this video help clear up this notoriously difficult and obscure aspect of Crowley's thought? Let me know down in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, I would bet my bottom dollar you're gonna love this other video right now. So go check it out. And until next time, love is the law, love under will.